In a cloud of sea mist, Rurik's dragon-proud ship glides onto the vast, chilly expanse of Lake Ladoga, heralding the Swedes' arrival in the cold northeast. Rurik, tall and formidable, steps onto the rocky shore, his boots crunching over frostbitten earth as his men follow silently. Speak. Vadim the Elder watches from the shelter of birches as strangers come ashore, wary of these newcomers with their shining weapons. Break time, 500 milliseconds. Ingela helps unload supplies, scanning the unfamiliar horizon with cautious curiosity as ravens wheel overhead. Speak. Miroslav, bow slung over one shoulder, approaches Vadim, both tracking the Vikings' every move quietly from the undergrowth. Break time 500 milliseconds. At dusk, Rurik's campfire crackles. He studies a battered map, planning further advance, while his men mend weapons and eat salted fish. Vadim debates with local elders about the intentions of these armed strangers and how to approach them without inviting conflict. Speak. Rurik's men explore the dense woods, discovering animal traps and remnants of burnt-out fires, a sign of distant neighbors. Ingela quietly observes Slavic artifacts scattered by the lake, marveling at finely carved wooden idols and pottery designs. Break time 500 milliseconds. Miroslav circles the newcomers' camp at night, gauging their defenses by the fire's glow, careful not to be seen by the sentries. Rurik consults Ingela about the local terrain, relying on her sharp instinct and keen sense of direction for their next scouting foray. Vadim arranges a clandestine meeting with Rurik, offering bread and salt as a sign of peaceful intent under a watchful moon. And speak. Ingela befriends a group of Slavic children who approach the camp, trading small trinkets for berries and laughter. Miroslav brings word to Vadim of the Vikings' trade goods, amber, fine furs, and iron tools, a tempting offer for the Slavs. Rurik displays his leadership, calming tensions after a misunderstanding leads to a shouted argument between his men and local hunters. Vadim and Rurik share tales of their distant homelands over steaming cups of mead, discovering unlikely common ground in the warmth of the fire. Break time 500 milliseconds. Ingela and Miroslav cross paths in the woods when both are searching for edible roots, surprised to find a moment of mutual understanding. Speak. Rurik negotiates passage deeper inland, agreeing to pay tribute to local chieftains in exchange for safe travel and land to settle. Break time 500 milliseconds. Speak. Vadim describes the rivers and portages that connect these lands to distant towns, hoping a partnership could bring prosperity rather than war. Break time 500 milliseconds. Speak. Miroslav impresses the Vikings with his archery, striking a dangling apple with a single arrow during a friendly contest. Rurik leads an expedition upriver by shallow draft boats, mapping the winding waterways for a possible stronghold site. Speak. Vadim instructs Miroslav on the old forest traditions, respecting sacred groves and warning against angering the spirits that dwell within. Speak. Rurik and his scouts find a strategic hilltop overlooking the Volkhov River, envisioning a fortified settlement, the first vision of Novgorod. Miroslav and Ingela, gathering firewood, speak of the hardships and hopes that have defined their lives, growing respect budding between them. Vadim guides Rurik's group to a nearby sacred spring, sharing a ritual of blessing for peace and safe fortune on this foreign land. Rurik's craftsmen begin construction of a timber palisade, staking their claim with hard labor, echoed by the pounding of axes in the morning air. Speak. Vadim comforts wary children frightened by the unfamiliar sights and sounds of the Norse encampment, telling stories of shared ancestors to foster trust. Break time 500 milliseconds. Speak. Miroslav learns words of Norse tongue from Ingela, stumbling over syllables but sharing laughter as she corrects him. Rurik dispatches scouts to learn more of the land and the rival chieftains nearby, ever cautious of new threats. Vadim and Rurik debate justice for a cattle theft, seeking compromise instead of bloodshed, setting new customs for their mingled peoples. Ingela organizes a market day, where villagers and Vikings trade finds from north, south, and the deep forests, chattering despite language barriers. Miroslav follows the tracks of a great boar as a wintry storm closes in, determined to prove his worth with a legendary hunt. Vadim blesses the completed palisade with sacred herbs, chanting to honor ancestors and new friends alike. Rurik gazes toward the sunrise over the Volkhov, resolved to lead his people through struggle and uncertainty, the dream of a northern city alive in his heart. As dawn breaks over the snowy forests, Rurik and Vadim discuss shared laws beneath a birch tree, establishing mutual codes to ensure peace. Ingela shares Viking bread baking techniques with Slavic women, blending culinary traditions over an open fire. Miroslav leads a mixed hunting party into the forests, teaching Viking warriors to track elusive elk and weed animal signs. Vadim and Rurik mediate a dispute over fishing rights on the Volkhov, revealing early tensions and the art of compromise. Break time 500 milliseconds. Nightfall brings a feast at the main camp. Stories of gods and heroes are shared around the fire, kindling fascination between cultures. Rurik, atop the hill overlooking the Volkhov River, calls a council including both Viking and Slavs to discuss construction of shared defenses for the budding settlement. The mood is cooperative, but cautious, as plans are drawn on birch bark. Vadim brings a peace offering of honey and nuts to Rurik's camp, further sealing their pact. The gesture is received warmly, and children from both peoples play nearby, watched by smiling elders. Speak. Ingela and Miroslav venture into the forests together to collect timber, each sharing knowledge. She shows him Viking axe techniques, while he reveals the best trees for building boats. Break time, 500 milliseconds. A local craftsman and a Viking blacksmith collaborate, forging hunting knives mixing Norse designs and Slavic motifs. Rurik and Vadim inspect their work, nodding approval as the first shared tools are presented before the community. A sudden late frost threatens the spring crops, sparking concern among the settlers. Ingela organizes a night watch to protect the fields and demonstrates how Vikings shield seedlings under straw mats.